So the question today, do Democrats have a double standard when it comes to Russia? Here now to debate that is Democratic strategist Chuck Rocha and Republican strategist Jen Kerns. Guys, thanks so much for coming on. Chuck, we want to start with you. I just want to ask, it does appear that the Democrats, they judge the president regarding Russia based on his tone and the things he says and not based on the actions of the administration. Do you agree?
I don't agree. We judge the president, and we don't like the president for many things that he does, but we are like, when somebody tells you who they are, you should believe them the first time, and the president has showed us exactly who it is. And let me be clear, there's plenty of blame to go around for Democrats as well on this, but I would remind people who want to give Barack Obama a hard time, as soon as we found out that the Russians were meddling in our elections right after President Trump was elected in November, we kicked out a whole slew of diplomats and put in sanctions. That's showing real action.
Jen, over to you. The White House has imposed a number of sanctions on Vladimir Putin and Russia as well as we've just talked about it. They've sent arms into Ukraine to help them fight off any Russian aggression. There have been a number of moves, the bombing in Syria as well. That's a Russian ally. There have been a number of moves that have shown strength against Russia within this administration.
Yeah, there sure have. And, the left-wing media will never give President Trump credit for this. But he's been far tougher on Russia than his predecessor, Barack Obama. In fact, you remember it was Barack Obama that was caught on tape, not President Trump, saying he would, quote, have more flexibility after the election to Russia. Look, if you look at the sanctions that President Trump has enacted, it's almost like a set of nesting Russian dolls. There's one on top of the other, on top of the other. And boy, they're pretty fierce. You look at just this past April regarding those Facebook ads that were purchased by the Russian ad troll farms. They punished a lot of people in Vladimir Putin's inner circle, 7 of the wealthiest people in Russia, 17 top government officials, all in Putin's inner circle, prohibiting them from ever being able to have a bank account in the West, ever travel to the United States again. You look at the bill President Trump signed in August of last year that put many sanctions on both the energy industries and the defense industries in Russia. You look, he's closed facilities in Seattle. He's closed facilities in San Francisco, New York, Washington, D.C. What hasn't the guy done? He's really been tough on Russia, and the media ought to give him a lot more credit than they do.
He's cost Russia quite a bit of money here in just the last couple of years. Chuck, I want to play a quick piece of tape for you. I want to get your reaction. This is 2012, and this is President Obama with then President of Russia, Dmitry Medvedev.
My last election for you. Yeah. After my election, I have more flexibility. Yeah. I understand. I transmit this information to Vladimir.
All right. So at the time, Newt Gingrich said, well, it looks like President Obama is only worried about Russia when he has to answer to the American people, and then he's willing to give some things away after his election. What's your response?
There's a huge responsibility when it comes to president. To Jackie's point, when you have 12 indictments that come down against Russian interference, the first thing you want to do if you really want to be tough is go, we're at war with Russia and they're trying to affect our democracy. Be man enough to stand up and say, don't mess with us or we will mess with you, instead of saying there's no collusion. And guess what? There has been no collusion yet proved, but come up and say something like, we are at war with you and you have to stop this, not turn the cameras back around on myself and go, there's no collusion? That's crazy.
Okay, yeah, Jen, respond to that, because Chuck makes a point. The president, in his tone, does attack the Mueller investigation rather than give credibility and credence to the idea that the Russians really did impact the election, or at least try to impact the election. Yeah,
and look, I think President Trump's been very clear through his actions and those sanctions we just mentioned. He's been very tough on cracking down on them and the people that were behind those. But look, the deep state is alive and well. There's no mistake that the timing of these 12 indictments came down on Friday evening, about 36 hours before President Trump was wheels up to Helsinki. The deep state did this. Mueller's special counsel did this to embarrass the president prior to him sitting down with Vladimir Putin. And I'm glad Chuck pointed out that the Obama administration did act after the meddling in our election. But guess what, Rob? They only did so a couple of days after the election when Donald Trump won instead of their friend Hillary Clinton won. I bet you bucks.
That's so they wouldn't affect the election. That's elementary 101. Pull your head out of the sand.
Okay. All right, Chuck, Jen, we do have to go. It's a busy show today. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
It's too early.
It is too early. Jillian, over to you.
It is.